5 stages. 1 boundary. 1 prison built from the word yes. From the child who experiences limits as punishment, to the teen who rebels into new cages, to the young adult who becomes everyone's property, to the mature adult who learns to guard their energy, to the elder who understands that chosen limits create freedom. This is the journey of boundaries across a lifetime. You feel guilty saying no, because part of you still believes love must be earned through availability. Tonight we ask what your life costs when you refuse to protect it, and why the clearest no may become the strongest yes you ever speak. The child lives in solitary confinement, but doesn't know it yet. Every boundary feels like a punishment. When mother says, "No more sweets," the walls close in. When father declares bedtime, the steel doors slam shut. The child pounds against these restrictions with tiny fists, screaming that freedom means getting everything they want, when they want it. But watch what happens when those walls disappear. Drop that same child into the prison yard with no guards, no rules, no structure. The vastness terrifies them. They cling to familiar corners, create makeshift barriers from toys and blankets. Because even a child's soul knows this truth. Infinite space without boundaries isn't freedom. It's chaos wearing freedom's mask. The child who gets everything becomes a prisoner of their own appetite. No walls to push against means no muscles to develop. No resistance means no strength. They build their own cell from indulgence, and the bars are made of yes. The teenager mistakes rebellion for escape. They see every boundary as a prison wall to break through. Parents become wardens. Rules become chains. Authority figures become guards to outwit and outrun. So they tunnel under expectations, scale the walls of tradition, cut through the chain-link fence of what's expected. They taste that first hit of rebellion and mistake it for freedom's air. But here's what they don't see. They're not escaping prison. They're just switching cells. The prison of pleasing parents becomes the prison of impressing peers. The walls of family rules become the walls of social pressure. The teenager breaks free from one warden only to submit to another, the approval of strangers who couldn't care less if they live or die. Watch them in the prison yard of high school, forming gangs for protection, creating territories from cafeteria tables, establishing hierarchies more rigid than any adult institution. They think they're rebels, but they're just inmates trading one uniform for another. The tragedy isn't their rebellion. It's that they're rebelling against the very boundaries that could set them free. The young adult enters the workforce thinking they've found the keys to freedom. Finally, their own money, their own choices, their own life. But corporate life is just a different kind of penitentiary. Open floor plans become exercise yards. Meeting rooms become interrogation chambers. Performance reviews become parole hearings. They learn the prison economy of relationships. They give too much of themselves, hoping for early release from loneliness. They say yes to every request, building their cell from other people's expectations. They work overtime to prove their worth, not realizing they're adding years to their own sentence. The young adult discovers that without boundaries, they become everyone's property. Colleagues dump their work onto an open desk. Friends extract emotional labor without payment. Romantic partners take and take until nothing remains but an empty cell of resentment. They start building walls frantically, but they're using the wrong materials. Anger becomes concrete. Defensiveness becomes razor wire. They create barriers that keep out the wrong things and trap in the right ones. They've learned that boundaries matter, but not how to construct them properly. The mature adult becomes the warden of their own life, and it's a heavier burden than they expected. They hold the keys now, but keys come with responsibility. Every door they unlock for themselves, they must also lock against what would harm them. They patrol the perimeter of their energy, deciding who gets visiting privileges and who gets turned away at the gate. They establish visiting hours for their attention, work schedules for their efforts, and solitary confinement for their recovery. They learn that saying no to good things protects space for great things. But being a good warden requires constant vigilance. The mature adult guards against energy vampires who would drain their reserves. They install motion detectors around their time, alarm systems around their emotions, and surveillance cameras around their commitments. They discover that boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates with guards who check credentials. The hardest part isn't keeping others at bay. It's managing the prison riots within themselves. The part that wants to please everyone stages uprisings against necessary limits. The part that fears abandonment sabotages the very boundaries that would earn respect. They learn that being your own warden means being both firm with the inmates and kind to the imprisoned. The elder has discovered the ultimate paradox. The only way to be truly free is to choose your own constraints. They've learned that boundaries aren't prisons, they're foundations. Not walls that close you in, but structures that hold you up. They watch the young destroying themselves with unlimited options and feel profound compassion. They see the middle-aged exhausting themselves trying to be everything to everyone and offer gentle guidance. They observe the defensive barriers others have built and recognize their own former handiwork. The elders' boundaries have transformed from rigid steel to flexible bamboo. They bend without breaking, hold firm without becoming brittle. Their no has become a gift they give to protect their yes. Their limits have become the canvas on which they paint their most important work. They've learned the warden's ultimate secret. Discipline and love aren't opposites. They're dance partners. The elder who sets clear boundaries with grandchildren loves them more than the elder who has none. The elder who guards their energy serves others better than the elder who has none left to give. The freest person you'll ever meet has the clearest boundaries. So here's what the fire teaches us about boundaries. They're not punishment, they're protection. Not barriers, but blueprints. The heat that forges steel doesn't destroy it, it strengthens it. The boundaries that feel like limitations become the very structures that set you free. Your life is not a prison to escape from, it's an architecture to design. Every boundary you set mindfully becomes a load-bearing wall in the cathedral of your existence. Every limit you choose consciously becomes a cornerstone in the foundation of your freedom. The question isn't whether you'll have boundaries. The question is whether you'll be the architect of your own liberation, or remain forever a prisoner in someone else's design. Stop by the fire. Feel its boundaries, contained, controlled, but burning bright because of those very limits. Learn its lesson. True freedom isn't the absence of walls. It's the wisdom to build the right ones.